I'm over at my buddy Mike's for our walk today. This is going to be day 3 of the walking vlog or a quest for fitness. And as you can see, Mike's cat is very, very happy this morning. She really loves anybody to pet her. Isn't that right, sweetie? So as soon as I have this cat happy and not starving for attention, we're going to go for our walk. Right, kitty? Yep. Well, as you guys can see, we're about ready to go for a walk, but Mike's cat really doesn't want me to leave. Isn't that right, little girl? Say hi. But we're going to have to get up because we're trying to get healthy, little girl. We need to get our exercise in for today. Aww. She's so sweet. She really doesn't want me to leave her, but we'll give you some more attention when we get back, okay? She's really a sweet cat. Alright, we're finally ready to head out for our walk. This is over in Portsmouth, and he has an equally nice neighborhood to walk in. Unfortunately, our buddy Chris's neighborhood, they drive a little too quickly down the street, so we never feel safe walking there. But I'll show you guys some interesting points along the way, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Alright, so we actually heading down towards the water right now?
Right.
Awesome.
Lake on one side, river on the other.
Cool. Yeah, it's a really, really nice day for walking. The last day, yesterday when we walked, it was probably about 42 degrees. I'm guessing now it's getting closer to 50. Because yesterday my hands were freezing. Now I don't even have to wear gloves. Oh yeah, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that yet. They actually have fountains, and that's like the little inlet, right?
Yeah, that's a horseshoe lake. So basically it goes like a horseshoe. But there's about 3 or 4 fountains in it.
Awesome.
They aerate the water.
Really cool. How often do they keep those fountains on?
They're on every day at some point. I don't know when they're going to cut the other ones on. Sometimes all 3 are on, sometimes one or another one's on.
Awesome.
But,
yeah, just so the water doesn't stagnate, basically.
Basically, you can see the other fountain way out there, but it's off. So there's just like a little, well actually it's a big ass turtle.
Look at that. Well, walking another, maybe 2-3 minutes, and we're passing where the other fountain normally would be, but that one for some reason is not on. I guess they're set to circulate automatically during different times of the day. As you guys can see, it would be right over here. There it is, right in the middle of the lake, or little inlet, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, and then this is the river right here.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, you're lucky. You do live pretty close to the water.
Yeah, that's actually, that neighborhood is right off Bruce Road. Not Bruce Road, Tynick Road.
Okay, so that's Tynick Road right back there?
Back over in that direction. Look at all the
Look at that.
foam.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what causes that.
Protein.
Whew. And I tell you, you could really smell it. I wish you guys better be blessed that you're not actually here.
Low tide is definitely not a pleasant result. That's all
No.
proteins and stuff like that. You can see all the mussels. See them, all the mussels right there.
Oh yeah, look at that. Probably because of all the decay. They're very rich soil around here. They probably feed off this.
Yeah. Obviously, I wouldn't eat any of them.
Oh, absolutely not.
There's just not enough person on the planet that would make me eat one from here.
No, not unless we were derelict. We had no other choice,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And you guys look out there, you can see the ducks. I think those are ducks.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, around here, for some reason, they don't let you feed them too much. I mean, when we're over at City Park a couple of times, we tried, and the only things that wound up eating from us were the Canadian geese, which I thought was hilarious.
We actually have 2 ducks that used to come to our pool every year.
Oh yeah.
Kids actually named them. I don't know what happened to them.
Were they friendly? Did they ever let him pet them?
No, but we never got close enough to pet them, and I think that had to do with just them being too timid to get near the girls, being too timid to get near the ducks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I never tried it.
I could see that.
Yeah.
As a kid, they would definitely be intimidating.
Yeah.
I know where we lived in New York, our neighbor had a duck once or twice. Actually, he had a duck, 2 different ducks. And they were able to tame them, but what wound up happening was, see, we lived out near the woods, and unfortunately, the wild animals got them.
Oh, no.
That let them out. They had it like a little cage they kept them in at night, but sometimes, like I'd say around 4 or 5, they would let it out to get some exercise.
Yeah.
And on 2 occasions, that was it. Some wild animal got it. We never did find out what it was. Probably could have been a bobcat, could have even been a bear. We don't know.
I know you do too, probably, but we have fox in this neighborhood.
Oh yeah, I've seen several in ours, and we actually had some bears a while back.
Yeah, I remember that. We had bear issues not far from here, and I was riding this morning. I go down Cedar Lane like you're going to Chris's house, and right before you get to where you're near Chris's house, you go over the interstate.
Yeah.
Well, if you turn left and go on the interstate right there, like you're going to go to your house, once I got off that road and I went driving maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds down the road at 50 miles an hour is pretty good distance, but there was a dead deer, full-grown deer, dead on the side of the road. Once in a while. I think somebody's seen deer in this neighborhood before, but again, the wildlife preserve is right down the street from Chris.
Oh yeah.
And they actually every couple of years they'll open that place up and let hunters go in there and help for deer control population.
Oh yeah.
You're talking a wildlife preserve that's right in the middle of a suburban area, so it's not like they have very many places to go. So when that place gets overrun with deer, it becomes they surpass
every other species basically.
Yeah, and they become a nuisance. Like farmers are allowed to have deer control on their property because they're considered a nuisance pet. Well, wild boars are considered a nuisance animal that you're allowed to hunt, I think, all year long, I think, in some places, but I'm not sure about that. But
well, I know again, when I lived in New York, they would have years. Normally, hunting season, at least in New York, was November to December. It was usually about a month, and that was, I think it started with rifles, and they might go another month or so with bow and arrow.
Yeah.
But there were years where it started as early as October, and that was because our deer population was exploding. I mean, it was so bad that you couldn't go out at night after 8 for fear you would hit a deer on the road. So there was a whole big thing about that. This was probably in the early 90s where PETA and everybody was getting on their case for extending hunting because, let's face it, they don't like hunting, period. But the problem is the deer were actually starving.
Yeah.
I mean, there were years where you would just see dead deer lying in the woods, and you could tell they were skin and bones. They couldn't find food.
The thing is, in some respects, now, again, I'm not one way or the other when it comes to hunting. I can take it or leave it. I don't hunt, not because I have anything against it. Be honest with you, I probably would if more people I knew hunted and invited me, but I just don't. But when it comes down to stuff like that, and it's animal control, you can't help it. I mean, some people feel like, I don't know. When there's an area overrun with a specific type of animal, and it is surpassing all the other animals in the population, and there's an imbalance, or they become violent. I mean, let's face it, if this area came overrun with fox, and fox were starving, fox would be coming up to your house, they'd be coming after your animals, they'd be coming after you. When you're starving and you're hungry, just like a human will eat whatever he gets his hands on, an animal will do whatever it takes to survive.
Oh, absolutely. So they don't care. They don't know any better.
Right.
All they know is, I'm hungry. I got to find something to eat.
Exactly. So
and if you're available and you're there, guess what? You're on the menu.
Depending on the animal you're talking about, you're absolutely right. But
could be a person too.
a little kid or something. So I mean, at the end of the day, when they become a nuisance, they do unfortunately have to be left under control.
I agree.
Now that doesn't mean you run out there and you know, strangle them and beat them to death with a bat, but you know, one shot, one kill, put it out of its misery and take it away. Sometimes that's unfortunately necessary. Animals do it in the wild. They, you know, that's how animals keep themselves in check. There's a food chain. Every animal reproduces at its own rate, and each animal has its own predator out there.
Oh yeah.
You know, till you get up to that apex predator. But at the end of the day, you know, like it or not, we're animals too. So.
And this should go without saying, guys, this is just two people's opinions, so I don't want a lot of hate mail about this. If you don't approve of hunting, then please just keep that to yourself. Again, I don't personally hunt, so I haven't killed anything. Just a kind of a heads up, guys. Hey, I just wanted to show you guys. I remember the other day I was talking about how we have a lot of issues with flooding around here. Well, it's not just my neighborhood. If you take a look right here, you can see that it hasn't actually rained for maybe close to 2 days now. And you can see that this guy's driveway is still completely flooded. And a lot of that has to do with this being an older development. They don't really have the proper drainage. Like we're in our neighborhood, I don't know if you remember, you've seen it, maybe every 100 feet or so, there's actually a storm drain where it empties down into the sewer. You guys have some storm trenches over there.
Yes,
but I don't actually see drainage here.
This is a trench right here, so all the water would collect over here, and theoretically supposed to roll down towards the lakes.
Unless, of course, you get a lot of rain.
Yeah, it's.
Now, do you guys have other than just like driveways flooding out, do you have a lot of issues where the streets will actually flood here?
No, I haven't had any issues with the streets actually flooding here. But backyards, my backyard floods because we had a driveway put in years ago, went from the street all the way to the garage in the back. And next to the driveway were 5 pine trees, and my parents planted one for each one of their kids, so there was 5 of us.
Oh yeah.
Well, after 30 years, the pine trees grew up, and the pine trees, you know, the roots pushed up the driveway. So what ended up happening was the water used to shed from the back of the house to the street, from the street to the lake. It would hit the areas of the driveway that were raised up, and instead of washing out to the street, it would wash back to where it was coming from. So essentially created a little pool in the backyard.
So it's literally like a backwashing problem.
Exactly. It'd go from the backyard to the driveway to the street. I would say probably 60% of it would. The other 40% would wash back to the back of the house and just kind of sit there and create a puddle. So
basically, it probably was that the backyard was a little too high.
No, backyard, it was grading right. What happened was the tree roots pulled up the driveway concrete, creating the concrete in the driveway to create little dams.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my grandmother had that problem in front of her house. She has a big old oak tree, and to be honest with you, it should have been taken down years ago, but my uncle loved it. They love feeding the squirrels, and that's where all the squirrels live. Yeah. So they decided to keep it in there, and right in front of her house is the sidewalk. I mean, it's literally right there, and there's a street. There's maybe a strip no bigger than that where the grassy area is. Yeah. And what's happening is, as the tree roots grow out, that area is bowing up, and it's taking the sidewalk along with it. So even though my grandmother has a grade down from the path to her front stoop, if there's enough rain, the water will still pool up, because just the sheer fact that the tree roots have lifted the sidewalk, it's making the water flow backwards instead of forwards.
Right, kind of reverse.
So they've asked years for the city to fix it, because it's actually, we found out, the tree is actually on city land, so it's something that they have to fix. But unfortunately, this is a little town in New York that has very little money, and this is probably number 10,000 on their priority list. So this has been a problem. This has been a steady problem now for about 10 years, and I don't see it getting fixed anytime soon.
Will the city reimburse your family if your family does it?
They would, but the problem is that nobody has the money to do it. We're looking at when they got the estimates to remove that tree because of where it is,
Right.
it's about $1,500 to $2,000. And my grandmother passed away, and my uncle is trying to take over the house, and right now he's just trying to get everything in order
Yeah, that's
and get himself financially stable. So,
I didn't
he
realize
doesn't have
that's
the
one
money
you
to
were
do
talking
that.
about,
Yeah. But, it is what it is. Fortunately, the only thing that floods there is the basement because of it, and there's actually nothing in the basement that could get damaged. Just a concrete floor. The furnace and the water heater are way up on blocks they're actually about 5 feet off the ground. So it never gets that high there because there's actually drains in the floor.
Yep.
Years ago, before my grandmother bought the house, they had plans to turn the basement into what they called a rumpus room back then.
Take pictures of those cobblestones real quick. I got an interesting story about those.
Right here, the ones that are around the garden.
Yeah, the natural cobblestones right there.
Yeah.
All right. I'll tell you.
Oh, I see them right here.
Well, those are store bought. The ones I'm talking about are that one right there. Those right there around that tree.
Yep, I got you.
Okay. Those actually in this specific area are most of the cobblestone that you get around here.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, comes from overseas.
Really?
Yeah, because we're right here next to the harbor, next to the ports, and so let's say somebody's coming over from England. Okay, they get on their big old sailboat and they sail across the ocean. They land right around here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they wouldn't come empty-handed. They would come with stuff, and in order to balance the boat out, they would take cobblestones from England and they would put them in the bottom of the boat to help balance it out, right?
Right.
When they got here and they emptied the boat, now all of a sudden the boat's out of balance. What they did was they would take the cobblestone and they would throw the cobblestones into the water right here by the, on the shores. And then they'd go back and do whatever they had to do. A lot of people, including my father and even my brother-in-law at one point, would go downtown, down at the city, go on the shoreline, take a left, at low tide, and go out there and get truckloads of it. So you could see it all on the shore where they would come in and they would just dump the cobblestones out.
Wow. So when did they actually bring him here? Was this over 100 years ago,
Oh
right?
my God! Yeah, this is back when they had big boats, and you're talking the 1700s. I mean, we're talking way back.
Oh, this is like Revolutionary War era.
Yeah, this is when they were coming back and forth when there was a lot of transportation that way. This is going back, colonial times.
Wow, that's really cool. You don't think about stuff like that when you see different stones, thinking, wow, they may actually have been brought over by our forefathers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them in the back. My dad actually built a water fountain in the backyard with them. So, I'm sorry, waterfall, not a water fountain.
You think there's still more to be had out there?
Oh God, yeah. There's probably tons left out there, but some of them have sunk down to the point that you really need to be a diver to get them out. And some of them are still sitting right there. I mean, it's just
wow.
You think of the amount of traffic that happened back then, and you think of the size of the boats. I mean, these boats weren't tiny ships; they were enormous. And then, they would need, I don't know, a ton of rock dispersed properly throughout the boat. The boat, they load the boat up and it's cockeyed, it's leaning in one direction really bad, and they need to balance it and put them down there. And then when they get back, I mean, logic would tell me to distribute them evenly and just use the same rocks over and over again.
Right, because let's say you have a storeroom towards the back where you're back then storing a bunch of gunpowder, food, and water, and consequently, let's say the barracks are in the back too. So if the back's 10 times heavier in the front, boat's going to sit like probably almost at a 45-degree angle, especially the way they made them back then.
Yeah,
so I mean, it makes sense. So you got to counterbalance wherever your heaviest point is.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm guessing it was just easier to throw the rock overboard at the port that you're in rather than redistribute it evenly at the time.
We got to remember something too. If you're talking about this time in history, the 1700s, these people coming over here were worried, are they going to survive the first year here? So their thought wasn't, well, maybe these cobblestones will be worth something 100, 200 years down the road. So to them, I mean, this stuff was expendable because they're probably like, well, if we need rocks to build a hut or we need rocks to build a
Right.
pathway, we'll use whatever's here.
Right.
Really interesting. Well, guys, I'm going to have to cut this off because I'm just realizing I am about to run out of tape. Hope you guys enjoyed this walking vlog. We're about back to Mike's house anyway, so remember to stay with me. This is the series called The Walking Vlogger, A Quest for Fitness, and this was day 3.
Give him positive feedback. He needs it.
That's my friend Mike. So have a blessed day, everybody.